Ladies and gentlemen,
what is up?
Welcome to the Xceleration Fitness Podcast number 9 for the year.
No, we're jumping all over the place.
See, we're
9 on iTunes now.
This is about our 50th one, but now we are legit after fail after fail. We are officially on iTunes. We've been blowing up, and today's episode, guys, I think is going to take us. It's going to skyrocket. I am very, very excited for today's guests. Let me just say this: if you are a high school athlete, or if you're a parent of an athlete, you need to listen to this podcast, share it with your friends, store it somewhere you can listen to it again and again, because this is going to be straight fire for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, on today's podcast, we have Mr. Gabe Dean. Now, for those of you guys who don't know who Gabe Dean is, let me give a little insight on who he is. Gabe is from Lowell, Michigan, and he is a 3-time state finalist football player, 2-time all-state quarterback, and state champion his sophomore year as a quarterback. In his first college wrestling tournament, because he's also a high school wrestling state champion, he went 0-2 at his first college wrestling tournament. He got a little bit better. From then, he went on to be a 4-time first-team All-Ivy League, 4-time EIWA Champion, 4-time NCAA All-American, 3-time NCAA finalist, 2-time NCAA champion. Now, I don't know if I have to really educate you guys on how rare it is to be an NCAA champion or a 4-time All-American, but it is unreal. He had a career record in college at Cornell University of 152-7. He's one of 11 wrestlers in the past 100 years to be a 4-time EIWA champ. But more than that, guys, Gabe is a true testament of character. He's a great, great guy, and I'm very, very excited to have him on the show. And Gabe, before you even speak, I got something I want to play if you don't mind. All right, this is just something I think that really captures who you are. This is my first time doing this too, so I apologize if the audio is not the best. It should work.
Dear Gabe, if you were reading this letter right now, you're probably pretty happy, given that you're wrestling in the NCAA finals tonight. All joking aside, though, take this opportunity to tell your story a little. You're a kid that has always failed throughout your journey to success. There is something that has been a big part of your life, and the reason you are successful is because you have failed so many times. Sports have taught you a very valuable lesson that it is okay to fail. However, the most important lesson those sports have taught you are the fact that it's better to fail than to not risk failure at all. You know that we live in a world today where people are so scared to take risks and accomplish their goals because they're scared to fail. This doesn't go for just sports, but life in general. You have been told so many times by so many different people that you couldn't do something, but you still tried to do it anyways. You have been raised through your success to stay humble and use it to help others reach their goals. You must always remain humble and dignified because this is the only way to help others with far greater struggles than your own. Your real inspiration comes from kids like the kid from your hometown that is battling leukemia at 14 years old. He would give anything to be out there competing, and he constantly reminds you that there is no reason to ever feel sorry for yourself, and that to just have the opportunity to compete is a privilege. It is easy to only value just the winning and losing in sports, but sports have provided people like you with so much more than just accolades. The accolades carry with you, but the most important part is the lessons and experiences that you draw from to make you a better person. Sports will end for you and all of us someday, but our legacies are carried on by the kind of people we become. You have been given an opportunity tonight to compete on a big stage in front of millions of people, and be thankful for it. Use this opportunity to show humility and that success makes you no better than the person you are standing next to. Enjoy the moment and remember how lucky you are to have such a wonderful family and support system that has allowed you to chase after your goals. Winning and losing has never mattered to them, and it never will. The only thing that matters to them is the person you are becoming through all of it. Now go have some fun and don't take being able to compete tonight for granted.
Yeah, so that definitely, I think, captures who Gabe is. Gabe, I'm going to give you the mic, and I'm going to shut up after this, but I just got to share this one story about Gabe Dean. So that what you guys just heard, I'm sitting in a conference room in San Diego, California, and I had the opportunity to sign up for this very expensive program where they train fitness professionals to be better versions of themselves. It's very expensive. And I'm sitting there in this dark room in tears because I'm so scared, but something wants me to do this program. And I go on my phone real quick. It's during the NCAA finals, and that pops up in front of me. And Gabe talks about not fearing failure, not fearing this. I stand up, and before the guy even finishes his sales pitch, I go, sign me up. Sign me up. I go there. I do it. I walk out of the room. I'm like, what the hell did I just do? My wife asked, She's like, what you sign up for? I'm like, Gabe told me to do it. I'm sorry. Gabe told me. But I got to say, Gabe, since doing that, at the time, Xceleration Fitness was a very small operation. And from that program, I can attribute a lot to it, led us to being the #1 gym in Metro Detroit.
Wow, man. Like, wow. Geez. I remember you texted me about that and just like what I've seen you do, you know, because I follow all your stuff and I stay close to what you've been able to do on social media, and just it's so impressive. Honestly, it inspires me too. I love hearing the stories back, and just incredible stuff, man. I'm just glad. I'm a little scared of your wife now, but I'm glad that I'm glad that I was able to help in some way. So
yeah,
awesome.
She got over it. She's cool. Awesome, Gabe. So what we're going to do, we do this on every podcast. We're going to ask Gabe these 12 questions, and I think these 12 questions will really capture who he is.
There we go. All right, let's kick it off here. So, Gabe, I don't know if you're a big reader, but what is the book or books that you've given as a gift more often, or if that's not really your thing, kind of what books do you turn to as inspiration, motivation that have impacted you the most?
Well, it's funny. I like during college, I didn't read too much other than outside of my classes and that kind of thing. But I recently got into it since I graduated. I'm currently reading the book Resilience right now by Eric. I think it's Eric Greitens, former Navy SEAL, which just hits home in a lot of places, just with your purpose and your drive, and you know what motivates you to get out of bed, and maybe when you're in dark places, coming out of those dark places. So that book has been really enlightening as I've read that, and I'm still in the middle of reading that. And then Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday is a really, really good one. Love that. And also is one that I do still want to read called Obstacle is the Way. And then my buddy Derek Krowski, Ben knows Derek, I think back from Lowell days, but he has me reading this book. It's kind of funny. It's called A Buddha Walks into the Bar. And it's a little about Buddhism, but like on the different ways to look at life and approach different things. And maybe you see this thing one way, but really kind of seeing the other person's point of view. So those books, I'd say those books are the ones.
Nice. Well, Derek's a Buddhist now. Okay.
yeah. He's into philosophy and that kind of thing. So
those are all really good books, and I definitely I can't wait to read Obstacle is the Way. RJ gave me that book. It's a good one.
I know.
Yeah, I've heard that's an awesome one.
Yeah. So. What purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months?
Most purchase of $100 or less. I would say the purchase that has positively that has been $100 or less has been honestly those books that I just listed, because I just bought those recently. So I probably those books, to be honest with you.
There we go.
Ironically, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I would always say too, man. Books are the best.
Yeah.
All right. So we've kind of touched on this briefly with that video, what Ben said, but want to hear from you. So how is a particular failure, kind of set you up for success later, kind of one that sticks out really in your mind?
Well, I think there's a silver lining to everything, which people, when you fail, it's not necessarily, it feels like the end of the world in sports or just in life, and you get to these dark places, but really there's just always an opportunity to come back from it. There's always an opportunity to come back and propel yourself even further than when you were before you failed, which is tough to see when you're in the middle of it. But once there's, like I say, like I tell a lot of my athletes, and like I took an approach, the sun's always coming up the next day. There's always new opportunity. You still got to get out of bed, and the worst thing that you can do is let it you bring you down even more and take away from what you're trying to accomplish in your purpose. So I'd say that is kind of the approach I took through my college career. And the failure that I think has hurt me the most is when I did go, that propelled me forward was when I went 0-2 at the Buffalo Open, like Ben mentioned earlier, my first college tournament. And I remember calling my dad, and I was like, Dad, I don't think I could do this anymore, man. I'm not cut out for this. And he said, you got to finish this year, and if you still don't like it, then we'll talk. But then he asked me a question that still sticks with me every day. He said, Gabe, why are you wrestling? Like, why did you choose to wrestle in college? And I couldn't answer that on the spot. And it made me realize that I didn't even have a why. I didn't even have a purpose. I just was doing something that I thought I was supposed to do. And so I said, hold on, let me sleep on that. And then it finally hit me, the why. And it changed. And then, a year and a half later, I was, in the national semifinals wrestling Ed Ruth. So it changed. Like technique changed. It was my approach.
What was that why?
And my why, I have a couple whys that I try to stick to. One is to try to pursue to do the right thing. Another one is to serve others. And then the why that really helped me those obviously both helped me in wrestling, but the why that really helped me in wrestling is to not fear failing. So
wow.
So it's like you're approaching everything because you're scared to fail. You're out there wrestling not to lose, instead of approaching everything with no fear and having an open mind to learning as much as you can.
Have you always approached failure like that? Because I know I personally can say when I wrestled, I tried to impress others almost more than I wanted to win. I wanted to look cool. I wanted to be known as a good wrestler. But the guys who always scared me in wrestling are the guys who had no fear, like, at all. They just go out and wrestle every match like they don't care. Were you always wired like that, or did you develop that?
No, that was definitely developed. Like, I think even in my college career, there was times where, so my freshman year I took third in the country, and I'm coming back the following year and in my sophomore year, and I'm the two guys that placed above me graduated, and I got caught up definitely in the ego part of it, the limelight, the wrestling for to be the number one guy in the country and that kind of thing. And I tell you what, it took a toll on me the whole year. I couldn't figure it out until after the national tournament, which I somehow found a way to win a national title that way. But if anyone watches my national tournament my sophomore year, I was wrestling tight. Every match was close. And then I remember in the summertime, I'm like, you know what, man? Like, I don't even care if I win another freaking wrestling match in my life. I am just not doing it that way again. And I'm chucking fear out the door, and it creeps back in sometimes. It always does. But you just have to remind yourself, of your purpose and be clear and can kind of get that out of the way. And I just remember after my sophomore year, I was like, I'm not doing that again. I don't care if I win another match in my life. I'm going out there to just throw down and fist fight. And it just ended up, it was way better. And winning happened a lot more, which is always nice.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
awesome.
Did you ever wrestle like that in high school? What was it like in high school for you?
In high school, I had a lot of dynamics going on in high school. My dad's my wrestling coach, and I mean, I'm sure anybody that has, my uncle was my football coach, so I'm sure anybody that, has been a coach's son or a coach's nephew has experienced this before. I just really wanted to make my dad proud, so that put a lot of pressure on me. And my dad was also a two-time All-American and a national finalist in college. So, I wanted to be at that level someday. So that put some pressure on me. But thank God I had just a wonderful dad, the thing I appreciate about my parents the most is that they always remind me, always throughout my whole career, that we love you unconditionally, Gabe. It's not about sports with us. And I think a lot of parents don't do that. And you see a lot of kids that are superstars, even through high school, which I definitely wasn't. I was a 3-time state finalist. But every match was like a 3-2 match. And I was like really close, and I lost twice in the finals. And I think you see a lot of parents lose sight of that because of their own personal egos. And I'm just grateful that my parents were, they're just, we love you because you're our son, not because you're a freaking 5-time Tulsa national champ or, multiple time state champ. You see some crazy stuff out there. So
yeah,
really
I hope a lot of parents out there listening to this really take that in and put that in perspective. But I mean, I always tell people this, and Gabe, you definitely can relate to this. You mentioned the 5-time Tulsa national champions, that kind of thing. I think back to 7th, 8th grade, and there's these like 7-time national champions, all these tournaments I never went to because my dad would never take me. And then you get to high school, and those kids do not exist anymore.
Doesn't matter.
Like they're not even around.
Yeah. It's because their parents were pushing them at a young age to be superstars, so for their own personal egos, so that they could go brag to their other parent friends that their son was a 5-time, 6-time Tulsa national champ. In retrospect, when they're just really hurting themselves, and most importantly, hurting their relationship with their son or daughter, that they're just hurting it even more, which is the saddest part, because it shouldn't be about sports. It shouldn't be about accomplishments. It should be the fact that, hey, you're my son, you're my daughter. Like, I love you to the end of time, because I brought you into this world, and I want to just support you through your passions in life, whatever those may be. And if I played tennis, my dad would have been happier. If I, it didn't matter to him. He definitely manipulated it a little bit when I was a kid. He'd bring me up to Michigan State wrestling practices and I'd be on the football field. We'd play catch in the yard, but like, it was never about him. It was never about his own personal agenda or his own personal ego. It was about, I just want my son to participate in sports, because he can learn a lot from them. And whatever he ends up at the end of the day accomplishing, it doesn't matter, because he's my son and I love him unconditionally. And
it's good.
I tried to quit wrestling multiple times when I was a kid too. Multiple times. So many different times. Hundreds of times. And he was always like, yeah, that's fine. But then the next day it would roll around and he'd be like, come on, Max. I have a little brother, Max, and he'd be like, come on, Max, let's go to practice. We'll get ice cream afterwards. We'll go go-karts, that kind of thing. Cream. And he's like, Gabe, you stay here. You help your mom with the chores and that kind of thing. And wrestling practice sounded pretty nice at those times. And even if, I get my, butt kicked in practice all the time when I was a kid, but he'd always take me to get a Slurpee afterwards. And it was never about that. It was just so, just something that we shared together just as a father and son, really.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm definitely keeping that one in my notebook for my kid if he wants to quit.
Stay home with mom.
Yeah.
There's ways to manipulate. For sure.
Awesome, man. Hey, Gabe, if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere in the world, what would you put on it? It could be a picture. It could be a saying.
Anything.
I think it'd be a picture of my favorite athlete, Steve Prefontaine, and then it would be I think I would pursue your purpose would probably what I'd put on it.
Pursue your purpose. I like that.
Pursue your purpose. I like it.
Powerful. I like it. It's good. That's good. All right, next question. What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments, whether it's money, time, energy, anything like that you've made?
Well, we're talking money. I made good investments into the cryptocurrency market, which has been really pretty nice lately. And
really,
it's been a huge hit. So that was good.
Every person is on here, man. Hey,
3 weeks in a row we've had someone say that.
You're at Cornell. I gotta ask you, man.
Yeah. Oh God.
Is this real? Yeah. Like this crypto? I mean, he's all about Bitcoin. I mean,
he's the Bitcoin bandit, apparently. Yeah, so he's just bandit. You never really know with him, man. You never know what's going on behind the scenes. I was teammates with him all through college. He's as wild as he seems on his social media. He definitely has an endearing side, but he definitely, and he would tell you, he definitely can get under your skin for sure sometimes. So, but yeah, he's seen, he's not here anymore, so I don't really know, but if you just go based on the social media, he's crushing it. So he's doing well.
Awesome. Well, all right. So cryptocurrency for you.
Yeah, money wise, but I think in total, like what my best investment is, and it's probably sounds cliche, but my best investment has been not only to the program here at Cornell, but investing right back into what's invested in me the most, and that's my family. So my best investment has been investing back as much as I can into them, because without them I wouldn't be where I am.
Nice. Awesome. Man. Well said. What's an unusual habit of Gabe Dean?
Oh, wow. Something that people wouldn't know. I really, really love the TV show Friends, which I watch quite frequently when I can. An unusual habit as well, I would say, which I don't know if this is unusual, but like when you're a wrestler, maybe it is. I'm like obsessed with ice cream, so I love ice cream. Try to have ice cream all the time when I can.
What's your best ice cream? You got
one flavor to eat the rest of your life. What is it?
One flavor. It's cookie dough all the way, man. It's not even a question.
That's
it's not even a question.
That's quick.
It's right away. Like, you got to get the good cookie dough with the big chunks of cookie dough in it, but that's the best.
I disagree, but it's okay.
Superman. Of course.
Superman. You sent me that picture of your son the other day.
I know, dude.
I didn't know. I thought your son was eating it. You must have been having some yourself.
Hell yeah, it was, man.
Superman ice cream.
Dude, for some reason, Superman ice cream on Mackinac Island, that one place we go to, it's the best.
Oh, that place is really good. That place is really good. I can't disagree with that.
What we got next?
All right. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit have you kind of taken a hold of and really benefited you the most?
New belief, behavior, habit. I think like the biggest habit is discipline, like being disciplined to my preparation when I'm getting ready for competition. So we live in a life where there's a lot of things that we can control, and then there's a lot of things we can't control. And stress comes from places when we try to focus on and try to control the things that we can't. And that's what really, like winning and losing, the results, the expectations that are put on us by the outside world. But so separating that and then being super disciplined to those things that I can't control, my diet, my sleep, the way that I live my life outside the wrestling room, my work ethic, my diligence to my craft, that's something that I can't control. So being disciplined to that and being able to separate and know the things that you can and can't do to eliminate that stress, because that's actually where stress comes from, which I strongly believe is something that's been really important that I've learned the last 5 years.
So you talk about discipline a little bit, and before this podcast, we talked about your diet a little bit and how that's changed now that you're a coach. Can you give us a little bit insight on your diet?
Yeah, so my diet is I pretty much eat high, good fats, like your nuts, your avocado, your those kind of things, your sour cream, your dairy fats, which in moderation are very good for you, and then cut carbs a lot, almost completely out, and you get your energy from those good fats, kind of replace the carb, and then just keeping your protein, lots of tuna. I love tuna. I've become a big fan of tuna lately. And then, grilled chicken breast, whatever way you want to marinate it, it's always delicious. Sirloin steak, lean steak, awesome. Turkey breast, those kind of things. Eggs, hard-boiled eggs are huge. And then doing a lot of cardio, lifting, wrestling with that has been it's worked well for me.
That's awesome, man. It's all good stuff right there. I love it. Am I up?
Yep, you're up.
Okay. This one, I might change up a little bit. The question is, what advice would you give to a driven recent college graduate? But I want to flip it a little bit. What advice would you give to a driven high school senior athlete who's a standout kid?
Advice to a driven high school senior athlete. I'd have to give him advice that, whatever happens in high school, whatever the results that in your high school career, they don't matter. You start on a fresh, clean slate when you get to college. So whatever happens, whether like I said, whether you win or lose a state title, or you win or lose something that really means a lot to you, just take that, like we talk about failure and there's a silver lining to everything. Take that and take it to the next level if you decide to compete at the next level, and use that to motivate yourself. And don't get caught up in those low moments. Don't let those low moments become worse, because that's where a lot of people get caught up. So, and then be clear on what your purpose is. Seriously, like that goes for anybody really. Be clear on what that is, because you need to have something that when you get out of bed every day, you know exactly why you're getting out of bed every day. You're not just going through the motions of life. And a lot of people get caught up in that, which is sad.
I'm curious with that. Are you the type of guy who like writes down in the morning? Like I know Ben like writes down his why like every morning. Or do you just kind of think about it every day? Is it like written somewhere in your room? Like how do you go about that?
I don't write it down. But I am kind of like a poster guy, so I have some stuff in my room, and then I also just like I just keep it really. And when I was in college, I had a sign that said "Pursue today with no fear" right by my door handle when I'd walk out of my room every day.
In high school or college?
Yeah, when I was in college. Now it's just like it's so ingrained that I wake up and I'm like,
all the time,
ready to go.
Like it.
Would you say knowing your purpose and knowing your why, does that give you confidence in the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, everything?
Absolutely. I mean, the confidence comes from knowing who you are as a person, right? So who I am as a person is I'm Gabe Dean. I get up every day to try to pursue to do the right thing, to try to serve others in my life and make and enhance their lives as best I can. And then also to pursue life with no fear and take risk, and educated risk, but take risk. And knowing that is exactly who you are when you get up every day, there's a certain aura about you when you walk into a room. It's like, yeah, this guy knows exactly why he's here, exactly what he's doing with his life. You see a lot of people and I think you make a great point. Confidence comes from knowing who you are. And when you see people that aren't confident, they live on a day-to-day basis where they don't really know who they are. Some days they're doing the right thing. Some days they're not doing the right thing. Some days they don't even know what they're doing. Like, it's just, you see confidence come from when you know exactly who you are.
Totally agree, man.
I like it. All right. So next up here. So this question we're gonna change a little bit too. So it's supposed to be, what is a bad recommendation that you hear a lot in your career profession? But let's kind of shift this towards keep it with the athletics. So kind of what's something you hear a lot in just athletics in general, not necessarily wrestling, that you don't agree with?
I really hate the saying that, like, it's like I see a lot of coaches say, all that matters is if we win. I cannot stand that. I can't stand it. I think it's a terrible message. I actually, when I was watching the national championship game, when Alabama won, and they interviewed Nick Saban, and he was like, "This is the best thing that's ever happened to me." Ooh. And I kind of sat back and I was like, "Don't you have a wife and kids?
Yeah.
Don't you have like a family?
Sorry, kids.
You're talking about how you won your 6 national championships, the best thing that ever happened to you, which tells me that you're probably really insecure and you need this to validate something. And also, like, you got your priorities mixed up, because what you come home to at night, opposed to what you accomplish, is much more important than anything, any trophy, any accolade. So I really hate the saying that, all that matters is if we win. Winning's everything. And also that, like, just that, where it's like, you hear interviews all the time, like, this is the best day of my life. Winning a national title is my dream. Like, okay, dude, when you win a national title, then a dream is something you pursue your whole life. A goal is something you pursue in the short term. So when you win a national title, then what happens? Like, are you done? Is that it? Like, you don't need to do anything more with your life? Like, I hate, like, the term winning, like, as set as the highest expectation in life, when there's so much more that comes from, there's so much more value and so many more lessons that come from sports in general. Like, people miss the boat.
I think when you won your first national title and you woke up the next morning, obviously it felt pretty damn good. But what was the emotion really like? This is something that few people ever experience in their life. But what was the emotion like after your first national title when you woke up in the morning?
It was more – so the first one, it was more a sign of relief, because I talked about how my sophomore year was so stressful for me, because I think I was wrestling for some superficial reasons. But I tell you what, one of the coolest moments that I think I'll ever experience is when I got back into the tunnel after winning my first one, and they had brought my dad down. And your brother was standing there too, Ben. Your brother was standing there too.
You didn't tell me that.
They brought my dad down. And we just kind of, I paused and I looked at him, and it just was very emotional for us, because it's something I've shared with him since I was, 5, 6, 7 years old. and to go through the journey, for him being there for me the whole time, and the journey of staying in the sport and continuing to pursue excellence, and doing it for the right, and those just for so many different things is really emotional, and it's something that I'll cherish forever. Just that moment to just look into his eyes and then hug him and said, hey, like, we did it. We did it. So.
That's awesome. God damn. That's got some chills. That's awesome. Yeah. Wow, you got to take the next question because I just got to let that absorb.
All right. So in the last, few years, what is something you've become better at saying no to that's helped you succeed? Whether that's, time, like investing your time in something, but you had to say no to it, or, money, whatever it is that you've just got better at, like kind of turning down to propel your success.
Well, recently it's been saying no to ice cream. So that's been helped me a lot.
It's a tough thing to get over, man.
But I think being able to say no to temptations that, distract us from the way that, we have to live our daily lives in order to be successful. So, like there's a time and place to go out and have a good time, have some drinks with friends and that kind of thing, definitely. But, being able to say, hey, no, guys, I'm sorry, I'm staying in tonight, or hey, no, guys, like I can't go there. I can't eat the food there. So can we pick somewhere else? And, there's some selfish moments where you have to definitely be a little selfish in order to pursue your goals. But, just being able to say no to things that, are going to actually hurt you, like, being up too late, partying, the food that you're eating, just being able to say no to simple little things like that 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 are just going to hurt you has been huge. So.
Right. And Gabe, how old are you?
I'm 23.
23 years old, because it sounds like you're 30. It's just the way that you say it. Because I know a lot of 23-year-old kids are still going out like till 4 a.m. getting hammered and doing all that. So it's just that's awesome to hear, man. It really, really is. I think more kids need to hear that. Last question. What?
My mom used to call me in college, and she'd be like, did you go out and have some fun? Like, did you go out and have a drink maybe? Did you do anything? Like she was almost worried about me not having enough fun. It's kind of backwards. And I get all
yeah, when your mom calls you to tell you to go out.
Yeah, she was just here this past weekend, and she has to do the same thing with my brother Max. And it's just like, yeah, Mom, my mom's always worried about us having some fun during our experience, which is like really sweet, and she's a sweetheart. But, sometimes I guess it's good to lighten up a little bit.
Hell yeah. Definitely, man.
I think a person like you, that is fun. The grind per se is the fun stuff. The journey does make it fun.
Yeah, exactly. That and then after obviously we feel fun, but just like when you're in it, it's like I don't want to regret anything that I did to hurt myself. So I'm going to focus so much on this, and then after we can have all the fun we want for a little bit. So
exactly.
All right. So what does Gabe Dean do when he is overwhelmed, just can't get his focus? What's something that you do to get your focus back?
I call my dad. I always call my dad. Call my dad. Call my mom. They always get me back to the right place. So always call them. Get them on the phone. My dad's always got a way to put things that just puts everything back in the right perspective. I hope I can do that for my kids someday. So if I'm overwhelmed, I'm feeling a little anxious, or just got something's heavy on my heart or something like that, I always call them first.
That's awesome. That's a good one. Okay, now we're going to have some fun. This is called the fire round. We're going to ask you some questions that really get to know who you are. I just created this one in my head. What is the best RJ Boudreaux story that you have?
Oh, man. The best RJ Boudreaux story. Oh, my gosh. There's so many good ones. Well, for anybody that's listening to this, they don't know, RJ's Ben's brother, obviously, and then he was actually one of my high school coaches through my high school career. And he actually lived with me for a couple of years while he was getting his feet on the ground in Lowell and finishing up his master's degree. So I think one of the best stories I've ever witnessed is he likes to play games all the time. He likes to play little pranks all the time. And my brother was in the shower one morning, and he was, just getting ready for school. We're all getting ready for school. RJ's even getting ready for school. And he'd do this thing where sometimes he'd punch the shower curtain. And he would be in the shower and the curtain would fly, and then you would be like freak out, right? Because you just never see that coming. So Max is showering one morning, and RJ goes in and he punches the shower curtain, and you just hear this like falling and like bottles flipping over and stuff like that. And he's just dying laughing, and Max is like, RJ, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? I just slipped all over the place and stuff like that. It was just like one of the fun. It wasn't funny at the time for Max at all, and but man, is it funny to look back on now? Oh, he'd also take like buckets of cold water. He had a bucket in his room, and he'd go fill it up, and then you'd be showering in the morning, he'd dump that on.
Keeps it in his room.
That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, though.
Yeah, try to be the youngest brother of him, dude.
Yeah, imagine.
Between him, Paul, and RJ, and Brian, they cannot sit still for 5 minutes without doing something bad to you. So it's a long day. You come home, really hard wrestling practice. That's when I take a shower. You go in the shower, you get ice dumped on, you get punched. Brian would piss in the shampoo bottle. Anyways. All right, next question.
All right. Next question. Quick one. Does pineapple go on pizza?
Wow, that's been a big debate lately. I think it's not bad, personally. I don't think it's that bad. My grandma used to always get the ham pineapple pizza from wherever she did, and I'd eat it. So I thought it was good.
Are you a Tupac or Biggie fan?
Biggie. Yeah, I'm a Biggie fan.
Okay.
He's out in New York. I get it.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie of all time? Wow. I mean, it's tough if you're talking about genres. Like, I would say comedy. It's got to be Wedding Crashers, hands down.
Wedding Crashers? Hey, Gabe, can you put the other one in? Because I think the mic is on that thing.
Yeah. My bad.
There we go.
If you're straight talking about comedy, it's Wedding Crashers for sure. And if you're talking about just overall general, you want everything in it. I guess not comedy, but I think Braveheart is phenomenal. So I love the movie Braveheart. And my dad showed it. My mom went away for a weekend, and he was definitely not supposed to show me that movie when I was the age that I was, but we watched it. And then I outed him right when she got back, because I'm a kid, right? I'm just like, yeah, Dad, let me watch Braveheart. It was awesome. My mom's like, are you kidding me? Like, it was like, I was like, what, 10? So I
thought you were going to say Remember the Titans for sure.
When you're older and you go back and watch it, phenomenal movie, great movie. Definitely a little cheesy, though, at times, for sure. It's like, fake 23 blast with a backside George reverse. Like,
wow.
Like, I don't know if that would really work.
With a Georgia reverse.
Yeah, and you got the quarterback out there lead blocking, and he's just smashing 4 dudes on your way to a touchdown. It's kind of tough to believe a little bit.
This is a fun one. But is it you or me?
You're
okay.
up.
We can't do it for 90s because you're 23. Ooh. If you could be in a 2000s music group, what music group would you be in?
Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, just to be fun, and because I like their music's fun to listen to when you're working out. Migos.
Okay. That's a group.
Okay.
I thought that was a guy. Damn, I'm behind.
No, that's 3 guys, man. That's 3 guys. Yeah, 3 dudes.
What do you think of their new album?
Not as hard. The beats and stuff, not what I expected out of them. I thought it'd be a lot harder. It's a little bit on a softer end for them, but I'm okay with it. They switched it up. They got some good tunes on there. They brought some good artists on, and there's a lot of songs. So I'm good with it.
Yeah, this sucks for me right now because I feel 30 right now because I don't know who Migos is.
Who is that?
This sucks, man.
That's why you got him on with you.
I'm officially there. You'll get there one day. This is not a good feeling right now, guys. Go ahead.
That's it. That was the last one.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we can do this one. Can you try to pull up a text on your phone, or will it close out of the app? We'll just ask you this. What is your most used emoji?
My most used emoji is I use the black thumbs up the most.
The black thumbs up?
Yeah, it really throws people off. I kind of like it. It's like, and everybody's got something to say about it. It's like, why can't I just use the black version of that? Like, I'm all about diversity, so
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna start doing that. Let's see how it works for me.
Who I got it from was Damian Hahn. My close friend. He'd always send it to me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing it too. So I started, and you'd laugh at how many people react to it.
Damian's a smart guy.
Yeah, and he's an instigator, so he likes doing stuff like that.
It's awesome, man.
All right.
Well, Gabe, that wraps up the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a very, very busy man. So thank you for just sharing everything you did. and we'll definitely get this on iTunes. We'll share it out. But before we go, where can people follow Gabe Dean?
You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, at Dave Gene. I like to say somewhat it's my alter ego, but it's DABEGEAN. So I just take G and the D and replace them with the first and last name. So
we'll put that in the show notes as well, guys, if you need.
And then I'll obviously retweet the podcast and get all that stuff going. And you guys did a phenomenal job. There were a lot of good questions in there. So really, really, thanks for having me on.
Thank you,
sir. We gotta give a shout out to Tim Ferriss because that's where we got these questions from. We're not that smart to write those questions.
Got Tim Ferriss.
We tweak them a little bit. That's it.
Yeah, I also got to give a shout out myself to two of my close. Well, two of my girls down there in Kentucky, Summer Berger and Francesca. I told them I'd give them a shout out in the next podcast I had. So
Summer and Francesca in Kentucky.
Yep. Got to give them a shout out. I told them I would. So
smart man, Gabe. All right, brother. We'll see you, man.
Have a good one.
All right, thanks, guys.